If you've done U.S. genealogy research, you've probably pulled some really good information from the federal census. But did you know that there are some special, almost secret codes that if you know what they mean, they can give you even more information about your family? Well, today I'm going to show you what those codes are, what they mean, as well as show you a couple sets of codes that trip up a lot of people. Let's get started with a strange little symbol in the 1940 census, and that is an X inside of a circle. This symbol gives us an important piece of information, and that is who talked to the census taker. Now that might sound a little trivial, but it's actually an important piece of information because it helps us judge the accuracy of the information on that census. Prior to the 1940 census, we have no idea who actually talked to that enumerator. Was it the head of household, the wife, one of the older children, the nosy next door neighbor? And more importantly, did they know what they were talking about? So when we're looking at this household in 1940, if some of the information isn't quite adding up, maybe we can blame Fred. Also in the 1940 census, make sure that you take a look way over on the very left-hand edge of the page. Does anyone in the household fall on a line that says SUPPL Quest? That's short for supplemental questions. 2 people on each page of the 1940 census were randomly chosen to answer extra or supplemental questions. So if you see someone in the household who falls on this line, make sure that you scroll down to the very bottom of that page to see their answers to those supplemental questions. In the 1900 through 1930 censuses, there are questions about naturalization status, and the answers are given in code. AL stands for alien, and it means someone who was foreign-born but had not started the naturalization process. PA stands for papers, which means that they have started the naturalization process, usually by filing what's called a declaration of intent. NA stands for naturalized, and it means that he is actually now a naturalized U.S. citizen. Notice that I said he. This question was only asked of foreign-born men who were aged 21 years and older. The 1880 census also has a code. Now this one is just a tick mark, but it's a sign for us to go look at a different part of the census. On the 1880 census, questions 16 through 20 asked about a person's physical or mental disabilities. When you see a tick mark in one of these columns, you want to follow up with a special schedule in the 1880 census called, and I hate the name, but it was called the Special Schedule of Defective, Dependent, and Delinquent Persons. Many of those schedules are available on Ancestry and on Family Search. In this example, Michael Bright is noted as maimed, crippled, bedridden, or otherwise disabled. Maria Diamond is noted as being half blind, which is not a normal notation, and Lewis Diamond is noted as being deaf and dumb. When we follow up and look on that special 1880 schedule of the defective, dependent, and delinquent persons, we see that Maria is listed as blind, which occurred at age 75, caused by old age. Lewis is listed on the deaf schedule as being deaf since birth, and that he attended the Pennsylvania Institute in Philadelphia. That's another clue. We can follow up maybe with school records. There are also special codes about military service. In 1930, if we look way over on the right-hand side in columns 30 and 31, it asked if he was a veteran of the U.S. military, and if so, what war he had served in. The codes that you will see over in column 31 include CW for Civil War, SP for Spanish-American War, PHIL for Philippine Insurrection, BOX for Boxer Rebellion, MEX for Mexican Expedition, and WW for World War. And since we're dealing with the 1930 census, that's going to be World War I. The 1910 census also asked about military service. Again, looking way over in column 30, it asked if he was a survivor of either the Union or Confederate Army or Navy. The codes that you will see in that column will be UA, UN, CA, or CN. And while we are over here looking at that right-hand side of the 1910 census, that brings us up to one of the sets of codes that throw off a lot of people. When you're looking at that right-hand side of the 1910 census, you might notice some random letters and numbers. Well, those are notations that were added later by the Census Bureau as they were tabulating statistics. If these images were in color, it would be more obvious that they were added later. But as it is, they are just statistical notations and they don't have any meaning for us in our research. Also in the 1910 census is a code that seems obvious but really isn't, and it throws off so many people, and that is the code about marital status. As you might have guessed, S does mean single, WD means widowed, and D means divorced. But what trips people up are the codes for married. M1 means married once, but M2 does not necessarily mean married twice. M2 is the code for married more than once. So here in this census, George Shaw is listed as M2. He could have been married more times than Henry VIII, but he would still be listed in the 1910 census as M2. If you want even more tips for finding your family history, check out one of the videos that's popping up on your screen right now. No special code required. Happy researching!